why the elephant has big ears. Long ago, in the heart of the African savanna, the animals gathered for their annual council. The wise old lion, who was the king of the animals, stood proudly on a large rock. His golden mane shone in the sunlight as he addressed the gathered creatures. "It has been said," he began, "that the animal with the best hearing will be honored across the land." The animals murmured in excitement. A competition was exactly what they needed to bring some fun to the slow days of the dry season. But this would be no ordinary competition. It would test the sharpness of their ears, and everyone wanted to prove they were the best. As Lion finished his speech, a smaller animal, the clever and cunning hare, hopped forward. "But how will we decide who has the best hearing, King Lion?" Hare asked, twitching his nose with curiosity. "Ah, that's where it gets interesting," Lion replied, grinning. "The animals will be given a series of challenges to test their hearing. Some will be easy, some will be difficult, and the one who succeeds in all will be crowned the best listener of the land." As soon as the lion finished, animals from all corners of the savanna came forward. The sleek cheetah was first, her sharp eyes gleaming with confidence. "I am the fastest, and I can hear the rustle of grass even while running. Surely I will win this contest." Next came the mighty Rhino, stomping his feet. "My ears can detect the smallest vibrations in the ground. No one can hear better than I can." From the trees, the chimpanzee swung down, clapping his hands. "I may not be the biggest, but my ears can hear the whispers of the wind through the tallest trees." Among all these confident animals, the elephant stood quietly in the background. His ears, though large, weren't considered special by the other animals. Elephant was known more for his size and strength than for his hearing abilities. He didn't even think of stepping forward. "I'll never win this," Elephant muttered to himself, his trunk swaying gently. "My ears are too ordinary, and I'm too slow to compete with these swift creatures." Lion announced the first challenge, and the animals gathered around a large open field. "In this test, you must listen for the faintest sound of water flowing from the hidden stream," Lion declared. "Find it and you pass." Cheetah, with her swift feet, darted off immediately. Rhino stomped away with heavy steps, while the smaller animals like hare and chimpanzee scampered into the bushes. Elephant watched them, his heart heavy with doubt. "I'll try," he said softly, plodding along slowly, "but I don't think I'll hear it in time." Cheetah, with her sharp senses and incredible speed, dashed across the dry savanna. She could feel the wind against her face, her heart beating fast. She pricked her ears, straining to hear the faintest trickle of water. But the faster she ran, the more difficult it became to focus. The sound of her own paws pounding the earth was too loud. Frustrated, she slowed down, realizing that her speed was no advantage in this test. Rhino, confident in his ability to feel the ground's vibrations, charged forward with determination. His massive feet pounded the earth, and he was sure he'd feel the vibrations of water running beneath the ground soon. However, as he moved, his own heavy footsteps drowned out any subtle sounds the stream might have made. He growled in frustration. "How am I supposed to hear anything over my own stomping?" he muttered. While the others struggled, Elephant walked slowly and carefully, his ears gently flapping in the breeze. At first, he didn't hear anything unusual. He kept his head low, listening to the distant calls of birds and the rustling of leaves. Then, just as he was about to give up, Elephant paused. He turned his massive head toward a small cluster of rocks. There it was, a faint trickle, so quiet that it could easily be missed by those in a hurry. Elephant's ears flapped with excitement as he moved closer, discovering the hidden stream. Elephant's heart swelled with pride as he reached the stream. He had done it! The other animals soon arrived, panting and frustrated. Rhino huffed, Cheetah growled softly, and Chimpanzee scratched his head, clearly confused. Lion approached, smiling. "Well done, Elephant," he said warmly. "Your patience and calm listening led you to the stream." Elephant couldn't believe it. He had passed the first test. Could it be that his large ears were better than he thought? For the first time, Elephant began to believe that maybe, just maybe, he had a chance in this competition. As the animals regrouped for the next challenge, Elephant stood a little taller, his ears flapping more confidently. The next test, Lion said, would be even harder. And while the other animals steeled themselves for the challenge ahead, Elephant couldn't help but feel a growing sense of hope. Perhaps his big ears were more powerful than anyone had ever imagined. As the animals gathered, the sky began to darken. Lion looked toward the horizon, where thick clouds were forming. "This next challenge," he announced, "will test how well you can hear in the midst of a storm. You must listen for the quietest sound beneath the roar of thunder." Elephant felt a shiver run through him. Thunder was loud, and he worried his ears might not be up for the task. But determined to do his best, he took his place alongside the other animals, waiting for the storm to begin. The first crack of thunder echoed across the savanna, making the ground tremble. The smaller animals, like hare and chimpanzee, covered their ears in fear. Even the mighty rhino flinched as the booming sound rolled across the plains. But Elephant, despite his size, stood firm. He focused, trying to filter out the loud noise and search for the quietest sounds beneath the storm. His large ears twitched as they caught the soft patter of raindrops falling on leaves, the rustling of grass swaying in the wind. Cheetah, despite her best efforts, was struggling. Her sharp ears were usually quick to detect movement, but the storm drowned out everything else. Each rumble of thunder made her flinch, and the loud wind howling through the trees didn't help. Frustrated, she paced back and forth, her tail twitching. "I can't hear anything," she muttered to herself. "How can anyone listen in this storm?" As the storm grew fiercer, Elephant's ears remained steady, flapping gently in the wind. He closed his eyes, tuning out the roar of the thunder. And then, just as he was about to give up, he heard something. Faint, but distinct. It was the soft cry of a distant bird, calling to its mate from a tree far away. Elephant smiled to himself. His large ears had once again picked up a sound that the others had missed. When the storm finally passed, the animals were exhausted. Lion, who had been watching from a distance, approached with a smile on his face. "Elephant," he said proudly, "once again you have proven that your ears are extraordinary." The other animals, though disappointed in their own performances, couldn't deny that Elephant had done something remarkable. For the second time, Elephant had won the challenge. Word of Elephant's success in the hearing competition began to spread throughout the savanna. Animals who hadn't participated in the contest were now talking about how Elephant, once known just for his size, had emerged as a top contender. Even Rhino, with all his strength, and Cheetah, with her speed, started to wonder if perhaps the elephant had a secret. How could he hear such quiet sounds that no one else could? Lion knew that the final test would be the hardest of all. "For the last challenge," he announced, "you must hear the sound of the wind as it carries messages from the distant mountains. Only the best listeners will be able to understand it." Elephant's heart raced. This challenge would be different, far more difficult than the others. But he was ready. He knew that his big ears would give him the advantage he needed. The animals gathered at the edge of the great savanna, where the wind blew from the far-off mountains. They listened carefully, trying to catch the whispers carried by the breeze. Elephant, with his enormous ears, stood still as a tree, feeling the wind gently brush past him. And then, from the distance, he heard it. A soft, melodic whisper, like a lullaby sung by the mountains themselves. It was so faint that even the smallest animals had missed it. When the final challenge ended, Lion once again called the animals together. "There's no doubt," he declared. "Elephant has proven himself to have the best hearing in all the land." Elephant, who had once doubted his abilities, was now the champion. His big ears, once thought to be ordinary, were celebrated by all the animals. To honor Elephant, the lion bestowed upon him a special gift. "From this day forth, your ears will grow even larger," Lion said. "They will serve as a reminder to all that sometimes the greatest strengths are the ones we never knew we had." And so from that day on, the elephant's ears grew bigger, a symbol of his victory and his unique ability to listen. The other animals learned a valuable lesson. True strength comes from patience, focus, and an open heart. The animals threw a great feast in honor of Elephant's victory. There was dancing, laughter, and storytelling under the vast African sky. Even Rhino and Cheetah, though they hadn't won, joined in the celebration. And as the fire crackled and the stars twinkled above, Elephant stood proudly at the center, his big ears catching every sound of the joyful night. In the weeks that followed, Elephant's story spread far and wide. Animals from distant lands came to ask him for advice, not just about hearing, but about the art of listening. For they knew now that Elephant's true strength wasn't just in his ears, it was in his heart. The animals had learned that those who listen with care and patience can hear things others cannot. And from that day onward, Elephant was known not just for his size, but for his wisdom as well. As time passed, Elephant became the most respected animal in the kingdom. His large ears were no longer just a sign of his excellent hearing. They symbolized his newfound role as the listener of the land. Whenever disputes arose among the animals, they sought out Elephant, knowing he would listen to both sides with patience and wisdom. One day, a fierce argument erupted between Zebra and Buffalo over a patch of grass near the watering hole. Both claimed it as their own and could not agree on who had the right to graze there. As their shouting grew louder, Chimpanzee stepped forward and suggested, "Let us take this matter to Elephant. He will listen to both of you and help us find a solution." When Zebra and Buffalo arrived at Elephant's tree, they were still angry, each convinced they were in the right. But Elephant did not interrupt or rush to judge. Instead, he stood silently, his enormous ears flapping gently as he listened carefully to each of their stories. After they had both spoken, Elephant took a moment to reflect. "I hear your concerns," he said slowly, "and I understand that both of you believe you are right. But the truth is, the grass belongs to neither of you. It belongs to the land. You must learn to share, for the land provides enough for all who respect it." Zebra and Buffalo, surprised by Elephant's words, realized he was right. They agreed to share the patch of grass peacefully, grateful for Elephant's wise counsel. Word spread quickly about Elephant's wisdom in settling disputes. Soon, other animals came to him with their problems, and the gatherings around his tree became known as the animal court. Squirrel had an argument with Owl about who could claim the highest branches of the baobab tree. Leopard and hyena disagreed on who could hunt in a particular part of the savanna. Each time, Elephant listened patiently, weighing the needs of both sides before offering a fair solution. His reputation as the wisest of animals grew even more, and soon, no decision in the animal kingdom was made without consulting him. One year, however, a new problem arose, one that no one could have predicted. The rains that usually came to nourish the savanna each season failed to arrive. The streams dried up, the grass withered, and the animals grew desperate. Without the rain, life on the savanna would become unbearable. Lion called an emergency council meeting, and all the animals gathered under the fading shade of the acacia trees. "We need the rains to return," Lion declared, "but we do not know why they have stopped. Elephant, do you think your ears can help us hear what the land is trying to tell us?" Elephant, humbled by the responsibility, agreed to help. He walked to the highest hill in the savanna, his large ears flapping as he listened to the distant wind. It was quiet, too quiet. There were no whispers of clouds, no murmurs of thunder. The sky itself seemed to be holding its breath. "I will need time," Elephant said, his deep voice calm. "The sky is silent now, but I will listen day and night until I hear what it has to say." So Elephant stood on the hill, listening patiently as the animals waited below. Days passed, and still, the rains did not come. But Elephant remained steadfast, determined to hear the voice of the sky. On the fourth night, when the moon was full and the stars shone brightly above, Elephant's ears picked up a faint sound. It was the softest whisper, so gentle that even the other animals would have missed it entirely. The voice was low and distant, like the breeze rustling through the grass. "The rains have been taken by the wind," the voice said. "They have been captured, held in the mountains beyond the great desert." Elephant's heart raced. He had found the answer. But now, he would have to figure out how to free the rains from the wind's grasp. Elephant returned to the animals and told them what he had heard. "The rains are being held by the wind, far away in the mountains. We must journey there to ask for their release." The animals were hesitant. The mountains were far, and the desert that lay between them was hot and dangerous. But they trusted Elephant, knowing that his ears had never failed them before. A group of the bravest animals volunteered to accompany him: lion, cheetah, rhino, and chimpanzee. And so the journey to the mountains began. Crossing the great desert was no easy task. The sun blazed overhead, and the sands shifted under their feet, making the journey slow and exhausting. The animals grew tired and thirsty, but Elephant kept them moving. His large ears fanned the air, providing a small bit of relief from the heat. At night, when the desert cooled, they would rest under the stars. Elephant would listen to the wind, hoping to hear more whispers about the rains, but the wind remained silent, as if guarding its secret. "We must not give up," Elephant told the others. "The mountains are closer than they seem." After many days, the animals finally reached the foot of the great mountains. The air was cooler, and the sound of wind rushing through the high peaks filled the sky. Elephant could feel the wind's presence here, stronger than ever. His ears twitched and he closed his eyes, listening intently. The wind was there, swirling and dancing around the mountain, carrying the stolen rains in its invisible arms. "We must speak to the wind," Elephant said, his voice low. "But we must do so with respect, for the wind is powerful and unpredictable." As the animals climbed higher, they felt the wind grow stronger, pulling at their fur and pushing against their bodies. When they reached the peak, Elephant raised his trunk and called out, "Great wind, we come with a humble request. Please release the rains you have captured. Without them, the savanna will wither and all life will suffer." For a moment, there was silence. Then, a voice like a mighty gust of wind replied, "Why should I release the rains? I have taken them to show my power. I can carry the clouds wherever I please." Elephant stood tall, his ears catching every word of the wind's powerful voice. He knew that anger would not win the day, and so he bowed his great head in humility. "We know of your power, great wind," Elephant said softly. "You are the force that moves the clouds and shapes the land. But true power comes not from holding back what the world needs, but from giving it freely." The wind swirled around Elephant, considering his words. The other animals held their breath, hoping that the wind would listen to their wise friend. For a long moment, the wind was silent. The animals waited anxiously, feeling its presence all around them. Then, with a great whoosh, the wind spoke again, softer this time. "You are wise, Elephant. I have heard your plea. I will release the rains." And just like that, the wind let go of the reins it had been holding in the mountains. Clouds gathered in the sky, dark and heavy, and the first drops began to fall. The animals cheered with joy, knowing that Elephant's wisdom had once again saved the day. As the animals made their way back to the savanna, the rain followed them, falling gently at first and then in great, drenching sheets. The rivers began to flow again, the grass turned green, and the animals celebrated their survival. When they arrived home, the other creatures welcomed them with open arms. Elephant's ears, now more revered than ever, flapped proudly in the cool breeze. Lion, standing by his side, declared, "Let it be known that Elephant, with his great ears and even greater heart, has saved us all." From that day forward, Elephant's ears became a symbol of more than just good hearing. They were a sign of wisdom, patience, and kindness. Whenever the animals faced challenges, they remembered how Elephant had listened not only with his ears, but with his heart, and they tried to do the same. And so, the story of how Elephant came to have big ears was passed down from generation to generation, reminding everyone that sometimes the quietest voice carries the greatest wisdom. One bright afternoon, as the savanna thrived under the newly returned rains, a frantic lioness came rushing to Elephant's tree. Her eyes wide with fear, she called out, "My cubs! My cubs have wandered off into the thick jungle, and I cannot find them. I fear they are lost." The animals quickly gathered, their hearts heavy with concern. The jungle was dense and wild, full of hidden dangers. Lioness's cubs were too young to navigate it on their own, and every passing moment deepened her worry. Elephant, as always, remained calm. "Do not fear, Lioness," he said gently. "We will find them. I will use my ears to listen for their cries, no matter how faint they may be." Without hesitation, Elephant led a small group of animals into the jungle. Rhino charged forward, ready to move aside the thick undergrowth, while Giraffe used her height to look over the trees, and the agile monkey swung from branch to branch, scouting the path ahead. As they ventured deeper, the jungle grew darker and more mysterious. Strange sounds echoed around them, the rustling of leaves, the calls of birds, and the occasional growl from hidden creatures. But Elephant remained focused, his ears attuned to every noise. He closed his eyes and listened, filtering through the jungle's symphony for the sound of the lost cubs. After what felt like hours of searching, Elephant's large ears twitched. There, in the distance, was a faint, trembling cry, a sound that only he could hear. It was the voice of the cubs, but it was mixed with the roar of a nearby river, making it difficult for the others to detect. "I hear them," Elephant announced. "They are near the river, but we must hurry before the current pulls them in." The animals rushed in the direction Elephant pointed, weaving through the thick trees and vines. The sound of rushing water grew louder, and soon they could see the river winding through the jungle, its waters fast and wild. The cubs were on the other side of the riverbank, huddled together and frightened. They had tried to find their way back, but had ended up too close to the water, and the swift current was too dangerous for them to cross. Lioness, who had followed the search party, called out to them, her voice filled with relief and worry. But the river was treacherous, and crossing it seemed impossible. Rhino stepped forward, prepared to charge through the water, but Elephant stopped him. "The current is too strong, even for you," Elephant said. "We must find a safer way." Elephant flapped his ears as he studied the river, thinking deeply. "Let's use the fallen tree," Giraffe suddenly suggested, pointing to a large trunk that had collapsed across part of the river. The animals worked together, carefully positioning the fallen tree to create a bridge. Rhino nudged it with his strong horns, while Monkey tied vines to hold it steady. Slowly, one by one, the animals crossed the makeshift bridge. Elephant, with his careful steps and massive weight, tested the tree's strength. It creaked, but held firm. Lioness called to her cubs, encouraging them to step onto the bridge. The cubs, frightened but brave, began to cross. Elephant, standing on the other side, flapped his large ears to create a gentle breeze, calming them as they walked. As the last cub made it safely across the bridge, Lioness embraced her little ones with tears of relief. The animals cheered, their hearts light with joy. The jungle that had seemed so dark and dangerous now felt full of life and hope, thanks to the teamwork and wisdom of their friends. "Thank you, Elephant," Lioness said gratefully, her voice soft with emotion. "Without your ears and your leadership, I may have lost my cubs forever." Elephant smiled, his ears flapping gently. "I only listened, as I always do. The jungle speaks to those who are patient enough to hear it." Back in the savannah, as the sun set over the horizon, Lioness gathered her cubs by Elephant's tree. The other animals gathered around, curious to hear what lesson would be shared that evening. Elephant, ever the gentle teacher, lowered his head to the cubs and said, "Today you learned that the jungle is full of sounds, some loud and some quiet. But in life, it's not always the loudest voices that matter. Sometimes the smallest whispers are the ones that guide you home." The cubs listened intently, their young eyes wide with understanding. They had been scared, but now they knew that listening, truly listening, was the key to finding their way through the world. As the days passed, the cubs began to practice what they had learned. They listened to the wind as it rustled through the grass, to the birds as they sang their morning songs, and even to the quiet murmurs of the river. The other animals noticed how much more attentive the cubs had become, and they too began to follow Elephant's example. Soon, the entire savannah was filled with the sounds of animals listening, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. Conflicts became rarer, and friendships deepened. The savannah was at peace, and Elephant's influence was stronger than ever. One peaceful evening, as the animals gathered by the waterhole, a sudden chill passed through the air. Far in the distance, dark clouds began to form, unlike any they had seen before. The winds shifted, and the birds fell silent. Elephant's ears twitched as he sensed something unusual. The savannah had always been a place of balance, but these clouds carried a strange energy, one that made the animals uneasy. Lion, sensing the growing tension, asked Elephant, "What do you hear, wise friend?" Elephant closed his eyes and listened deeply, his ears stretching to catch the faintest whispers on the wind. The wind spoke in hushed tones, but its message was clear. "A great storm is coming," Elephant said solemnly. "But this is no ordinary rain. Something is wrong with the balance of the skies." The animals looked at one another in concern. The rains had been a blessing, but now it seemed they had brought with them a storm that threatened to upset the harmony of the savannah. The clouds in the distance rumbled ominously, and the animals knew they had to prepare. "Let's gather in the highlands," Lion declared. "We must protect ourselves from the storm." The animals worked together, following Lion's command. They gathered food, strengthened their shelters, and led the smaller creatures to higher ground, where they would be safe from any potential flooding. Elephant, always calm in the face of danger, helped guide them. As the wind picked up and the first drops of rain began to fall, Elephant's ears remained focused. He knew this storm was not just about rain, it was about something greater, a shift in the natural order of things. The sky, it seemed, had grown restless once again, and Elephant could hear the signs. That night, the storm hit with full force. Lightning cracked across the sky, and thunder rolled through the savanna like the roar of an angry giant. The winds howled, shaking the trees and bending the grass flat. The animals huddled together in the highlands, fear gripping their hearts. But in the midst of the chaos, Elephant stood tall, his large ears flapping steadily. He listened not just to the storm, but to the land beneath his feet. There, deep within the earth, was the answer. The storm wasn't just nature, it was a message, a warning from forces far beyond their understanding. As the storm raged on, Elephant bent down, pressing his ear close to the ground. He could feel the tremors beneath the earth, a low, rumbling hum that told him something was shifting deep below. "The earth is speaking," he said quietly. "Something stirs beneath us, something we have yet to see." Lion, hearing this, nodded. "Then we must be ready for whatever comes next. The storm may pass, but there is more at play here." And so, as the rain poured down, the animals prepared for a challenge they could not yet fully understand. The storm raged throughout the night, its power relentless. But as dawn broke, the skies began to clear. The animals, weary but relieved, emerged from their shelters. The savanna was soaked, the trees bent, and the rivers swollen, but it seemed the worst had passed. Elephant stood at the edge of the highlands, his ears gently flapping in the light breeze. The sky was calm now, but he knew the true storm had not yet revealed its full intent. The earth had spoken to him, and he could still feel a deep unease beneath his feet. As the animals began to return to their daily routines, something strange happened. The ground trembled, not in violent shakes, but in subtle, unsettling movements. Elephant, ever attuned to the land, felt it first. He knew these were not ordinary tremors. The earth was shifting, changing in ways that no one could yet see. The other animals grew anxious. "What is happening?" asked Zebra, his voice quivering. "The storm has passed, but the ground feels unstable." Elephant, wise and calm, responded, "The earth beneath us is restless. We must be vigilant, for it may be trying to tell us something." Lion, always quick to act when his kingdom was in peril, called an emergency meeting with the elders of the animal kingdom. The great creatures of the land gathered: elephant, rhino, giraffe, and buffalo. Even the smaller animals like hare and tortoise came to offer their wisdom. Elephant listened as the animals debated. Some believed the tremors were just aftershocks from the storm, while others thought they signaled something more sinister. Elephant remained silent for a long time, his ears twitching as he listened to the earth beneath him. Finally, he spoke, his voice slow and deliberate. "We must understand the earth's message. There is more happening here than meets the eye. The balance of the land has shifted, and it is up to us to restore it." Elephant proposed a bold plan. "We must journey to the heart of the land," he declared. "There, deep within the earth, lies the source of these tremors. If we can reach it, we may discover what is causing the disturbance." The animals were hesitant. The heart of the land was a mysterious place, a deep chasm hidden within the oldest part of the savanna. Few had ventured there, and even fewer had returned with stories to tell. But Elephant's words carried weight, and they trusted his judgment. Lion agreed. "Elephant is right. We must go to the source and face whatever lies there." A small group of brave animals volunteered to join Elephant on the journey to the heart of the land. Lion led the group, followed by rhino, cheetah, giraffe, and chimpanzee. Even tortoise, slow but wise, decided to come along, knowing that his knowledge of the earth might be of use. The animals set off at dawn, leaving behind the safety of the savanna. As they ventured deeper into the wild lands, the ground trembled beneath their feet, growing stronger with each passing day. But Elephant remained calm, his ears constantly listening for the whispers of the earth. After days of travel, the group finally reached the entrance to the heart of the land. It was a massive chasm, known as the Great Rift, where the earth had split long ago, creating a deep canyon that stretched for miles. The tremors were stronger here, shaking the ground with every step. Elephant stood at the edge of the rift, his large ears catching the sounds rising from the depths. It was a strange rhythmic hum, like the beating of a distant drum. "The earth speaks loudly here," he said, his voice low. "We are close to the source of the disturbance." The animals carefully made their way down into the Great Rift, the path steep and treacherous. The further they descended, the louder the humming became. Rhino used his strength to clear the way, while Giraffe kept a lookout from above. Elephant, ever the leader, guided them with his keen ears, attuned to every shift in the earth's voice. As they reached the bottom, they found themselves in a cavernous space, where the ground pulsed with energy. It was as if the land itself was alive, breathing and beating like a great heart. In the depths of the Great Rift, the animals gathered around Elephant, waiting for him to speak. His ears were wide open, flapping gently as they picked up the vibrations from the earth. The rhythmic hum became clearer, and Elephant realized it was not just a sound, it was a message. "The earth is calling to us," Elephant said, his voice filled with awe. "It is asking for help. Something deep below has gone wrong, and the balance of the land is in danger." Lion stepped forward, his golden mane shimmering in the dim light. "What must we do, Elephant? How can we restore the balance?" Elephant listened for a long time before answering. "We must go deeper," he said. "There is a place, deep within the heart of the land, where the balance of all things is maintained. If we can reach it, we may be able to restore the harmony that has been lost." The animals looked at each other, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. The journey had already been difficult, and now Elephant was asking them to go even further into the unknown. But they trusted him, knowing that his wisdom had guided them through many challenges before. And so, they prepared to venture deeper into the earth. The path deeper into the Great Rift led the animals into a labyrinth of stone tunnels, twisting and turning in every direction. The walls were smooth, worn down by centuries of wind and water. The air grew thick, and the rhythmic hum echoed louder, vibrating through the very stone itself. Chimpanzee, nimble and quick, scouted ahead, swinging from rocks and ledges. Tortoise, though slow, provided wisdom, pointing out ancient markings on the walls that told stories of past travelers. "These tunnels are old," Tortoise murmured. "Older than any of us. We must tread carefully." As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, a sudden and violent tremor shook the ground. The animals stumbled, some nearly losing their footing. Elephant's large ears twitched in alarm. "The balance is weakening," he said. "We must move quickly, or the rift will collapse." Rhino and Lion pushed ahead, using their strength to clear the way. The tremors grew more frequent, and the air around them seemed to buzz with energy. But through it all, Elephant remained focused, guiding the group with his sharp hearing, listening for the path that would lead them to the heart. After what seemed like an eternity, the group finally reached a massive chamber at the center of the Great Rift. In the center of the chamber stood a towering stone structure, glowing faintly with an ancient energy. This was the heart of the land. But they were not alone. Standing before the heart was a creature unlike any they had ever seen. It was a giant serpent, its scales shimmering with the colors of the earth, and its eyes glowing with a deep, ancient wisdom. "I am the guardian of the heart," the serpent hissed. "Why have you come here, to the sacred core of the earth?" Lion stepped forward bravely, his mane rippling in the still air. "Great guardian, we come in peace. The land is in danger, and we seek to restore the balance that has been lost. The earth trembles, and the storms have grown wild. We believe the answer lies here, at the heart of the land." The serpent regarded Lion with its glowing eyes, then turned to Elephant. "And you," it hissed, its voice low and powerful. "I know you, listener of the land. You, with the great ears that hear all. What do you seek?" Elephant bowed his great head. "We seek to understand the earth's cry and restore harmony. The land is imbalanced, and we ask for your guidance." The serpent coiled around the heart, its massive body shimmering in the faint light. The earth has grown restless because the balance of nature has been disrupted, it said. Greed, carelessness, and neglect have caused wounds deep within the land. If these wounds are not healed, the earth will continue to shake and the storms will grow stronger. Elephant nodded, understanding the gravity of the guardian's words. How can we heal these wounds? He asked. What must we do? The guardian's eyes gleamed as it spoke. The balance can be restored, but it will require great sacrifice. Are you and your companions willing to do what is necessary to save the land? The animals exchanged glances, their hearts heavy with the weight of the guardian's words. They knew that saving the land was their duty, but the mention of sacrifice made them pause. Lion, ever the leader, spoke first. We will do whatever it takes to protect our home. Tell us what must be done. The serpent's eyes flickered with approval. To heal the wounds of the earth, you must mend what has been broken. Water, wind, fire, and soil must be brought back into harmony. You will need to journey to the four corners of the land and restore balance to the elements. The guardian of the heart explained that the balance of the land relied on the four great elements: water, wind, fire, and earth. Each element had its own realm, hidden deep in the wilderness, and each had been thrown into chaos by the disturbances in the land. Your task, the guardian hissed, is to travel to the source of each element and restore its harmony. Only then will the land be healed and the earth will stop trembling. But beware, the spirits of the elements are not easily tamed, and they will test your resolve. Elephant's ears flapped as he listened closely. The animals would need both courage and wisdom to complete such a monumental task. The animals knew that the task ahead would be dangerous, and that they could not travel to all the elemental realms together. After much discussion, they decided to split into 4 groups, each tasked with restoring one element. Lion, with his fiery spirit, volunteered to travel to the realm of fire. Giraffe, tall and graceful, would seek out the skylands, where the wind roamed free. Rhino, with his powerful connection to the earth, would journey to the caverns of earth. And Elephant, wise and calm, chose to lead the group to the waters of life, deep in the heart of the Savanna. The group knew they might not see each other for a long time, but they were united in their goal. We are in this together, Elephant said solemnly. We will restore the balance, no matter the cost. Elephant, accompanied by Chimpanzee and Tortoise, began their journey to the waters of life. The source of water's power was said to lie in a hidden lake, deep within the thickest jungle. As they ventured forward, the tremors beneath their feet grew stronger, and the rivers they passed seemed unnaturally still. The water feels wrong, Chimpanzee remarked, dipping his hand into a nearby stream. The usually flowing waters were sluggish, almost stagnant, as if the life had been drained from them. Elephant's ears flapped thoughtfully. The balance of water has been disrupted. We must reach the source quickly before the rivers dry up completely. Meanwhile, Lion and his companions had ventured into the barren wastelands that led to the realm of fire. The heat grew more intense with each step. The ground beneath them scorched and cracked. Flames flickered in the distance, and the sky above glowed with an orange hue. As they neared the heart of the realm, the air became thick with ash. Lion, always brave, stepped forward confidently, but even he could feel the heat pressing down on him. We must find the flame spirit and restore its balance, Lion growled, determination in his voice. But we must be careful. Fire is a wild thing, and it won't be easily controlled. Back in the jungle, Elephant and his group reached the hidden lake where the waters of life were said to flow. But what they found was not the life-giving source they had hoped for. The lake's surface was eerily still, reflecting the overgrown vines and trees that hung over it like a shroud. Tortoise, always wise and observant, approached the water's edge. The lake is asleep, he said quietly. The spirit of water is in distress, and without it, the land cannot be nourished. Elephant nodded. His ears twitched as he tried to hear the voice of the water spirit, but all he could detect was silence. We must wake the lake, he said. Only then will the waters flow again. As Elephant, Chimpanzee, and Tortoise stood at the edge of the still lake, the air around them seemed to thicken. Suddenly, the water began to ripple, and a great, shimmering form rose from the depths. It was the spirit of water, a creature made entirely of liquid, its body flowing like a river. The water spirit's voice echoed like the sound of rain. "Why have you come to my sacred waters?" "We seek to restore the balance of the elements," Elephant explained. "The rivers are drying up, and the land is suffering. We ask for your help in restoring life to the waters." The spirit regarded them for a long moment. "To restore the waters, you must prove your worth. Water is gentle, but it can also be fierce. You must show that you understand its dual nature." The water spirit tested the group with a challenge. A fierce storm brewed over the lake, causing the waters to rise and swirl violently. "You must calm the storm," the spirit commanded. "Only those who can control both the calm and the chaos of water are worthy of restoring the balance." Elephant, using his great ears, listened carefully to the roar of the storm and the subtle whispers of the water beneath it. "We cannot fight the water," he said. "We must move with it." With calm and steady movements, Elephant led the group in a gentle dance with the waves, guiding the energy of the storm without resisting it. Slowly the waters began to settle, and the storm dissipated. The water spirit, now calm, bowed its head. "You have proven yourself worthy. I will restore the waters, and the rivers will flow again." While Elephant worked to calm the waters, Lion and his group faced a much more volatile challenge. They had reached the heart of the realm of fire, where the ground burned beneath their paws. In the center of a great crater stood the flame spirit, a massive figure of fire and smoke, its eyes burning like hot coals. The flame spirit roared as they approached. "Why do you come to my domain?" it demanded, flames licking the air around it. Lion stepped forward, unflinching. "We seek to restore the balance of the elements. The fires are burning too hot, and the land is being consumed. We ask for your help in controlling the flames." The flame spirit's laughter echoed through the crater. "Control the flames? Fire cannot be controlled. It is wild and free." The flame spirit threw a challenge at Lion and his companions. "If you wish to restore balance, you must show me that you understand the true nature of fire, its destructive power, but also its ability to bring life. Only then will I consider tempering my flames." Lion, despite the scorching heat, stood tall. "Fire is fierce, but it is also a giver of life," he said. "The sun's fire nourishes the land, and in its destruction, new growth can emerge." The flame spirit roared, flames spiraling higher. "Prove it. Show me the fire that brings life, not destruction." The ground around them began to crack, and flames erupted from beneath the surface. The group had to act quickly. Cheetah, swift and agile, darted through the flames, finding patches of untouched ground where seedlings struggled to survive. Giraffe used her long neck to pluck branches from a tree, shielding them from the intense heat. Lion, using his quick thinking, led the group in creating a fire break, a barrier of scorched earth that would prevent the flames from spreading further. As they worked together, the flames began to die down, and the seeds of new life were protected. The flame spirit, watching their efforts, nodded in approval. "You have shown that fire can be both a destroyer and a creator. I will temper my flames and restore the balance of fire." In the Skylands, Giraffe and her companions faced their own challenge. The wind spirit, a swirling mass of air and clouds, circled above them, its voice a constant whisper. "You come to seek balance, but do you understand the wind's nature? It is freedom, ever-changing and untamed." Giraffe, with her long neck reaching toward the sky, listened closely to the wind's whispers. "Wind brings change, but it also carries seeds to new places, spreading life," she said softly. The wind spirit's voice rose like a gale. "Then show me. Prove that you can harness the power of the wind without breaking its spirit." The wind spirit challenged Giraffe and her companions with a powerful gust that threatened to blow them off the Skylands. The group struggled to stay grounded, but Giraffe, tall and sturdy, stood firm, using her long neck to balance against the wind. "We cannot fight the wind," she called out to the others. "We must move with it, just as the trees do." Following Giraffe's lead, the group bent with the wind's force, using its energy to guide them rather than resist. Slowly the wind calmed, and the spirit was satisfied. "You understand the balance of change and stillness," the wind spirit said. "I will restore the balance of the air." Rhino, in the caverns of Earth, faced a different challenge. The Earth spirit, a giant figure made of stone and soil, watched as Rhino and his group ventured into the deepest parts of the Earth. "You seek to restore balance," the Earth spirit rumbled. But do you understand the weight of the earth? It holds everything: life, death, growth, and decay. Rhino, feeling the heavy weight of the earth around him, nodded. The earth gives life, but it also takes it back. Without the soil, nothing can grow, and without decay, nothing can be reborn. The earth spirit challenged Rhino to prove his understanding. A great earthquake shook the cavern, threatening to collapse it. If you can keep the ground steady and hold the balance of life and death, I will restore the earth's harmony. Rhino, using his immense strength, pressed his feet firmly into the ground, holding steady as the earth trembled. Tortoise, slow but wise, helped guide the others to safety, while Rhino kept the cavern from collapsing. When the tremors finally stopped, the earth spirit nodded approvingly. You have proven that you understand the balance of the earth. I will restore its strength. After completing their tasks, each group began their journey back to the Great Rift, where the heart of the land awaited. The waters flowed once again, the fires burned with tempered strength, the winds carried life, and the earth stood steady beneath their feet. As the animals reunited at the heart of the land, they could feel the difference. The land no longer trembled, and the air was filled with a sense of peace. Elephant's ears twitched as he listened to the quiet hum of the earth, now in perfect harmony. The guardian of the heart appeared before the animals once again, its great serpent form coiling around the glowing heart. You have succeeded, it said, its voice filled with pride. The elements are in balance once more, and the land will heal. Elephant, his ears flapping gently, stepped forward. We have restored balance, but we also understand that this balance must be maintained. The land needs care and respect from all of us. The guardian nodded. You have learned well, listener of the land. You and your companions have shown that true harmony comes from understanding the balance of all things. With the elements restored, the savanna thrived once again. The rivers flowed, the winds were gentle, the earth was rich, and the fires were controlled. The animals returned to their peaceful lives, but they carried with them the lessons they had learned. Lion, giraffe, rhino, and elephant each took on new roles in the kingdom, ensuring that the balance of the land would never be forgotten. The Great Rift, once a place of danger and mystery, became a symbol of the interconnectedness of all things. The animals gathered for a great feast to celebrate the restoration of balance. The skies were clear, and the air was filled with the sounds of laughter and joy. Even the smallest creatures, like squirrel and hare, danced in the cool breeze, grateful for the peace that had returned to their home. Elephant, now revered as the listener of the land, sat quietly at the edge of the gathering, his ears gently flapping as he listened to the sounds of the savanna. He could hear the wind whispering through the trees, the water bubbling in the streams, and the quiet hum of life all around him. As the night deepened and the stars twinkled above, Lion approached Elephant. You have guided us through many challenges, Lion said, his voice full of admiration. Without your wisdom, the land would have been lost. Elephant smiled, his ears twitching in the soft breeze. It was not just me, he replied. We all played a part in restoring the balance. It is a lesson we must carry with us always, that no one element, no one creature is greater than the whole. Harmony comes from working together. In the weeks that followed, Elephant began teaching the younger animals the art of listening. He showed them how to hear the whispers of the wind, the voice of the water, and the quiet strength of the earth. Listening is not just about hearing sounds, Elephant would say. It is about understanding the world around you and finding your place within it. The young animals, eager to learn, followed Elephant's teachings with excitement. They practiced listening to the land, just as Elephant had done, and in doing so, they became guardians of the balance. As the seasons passed, the animals of the savanna thrived under the new era of harmony. The balance of the elements had been restored, but the animals never forgot the lessons they had learned. They worked together to care for the land, ensuring that the water flowed freely, the fires burned safely, the winds carried life, and the earth remained fertile. Elephant's ears, always attuned to the slightest sound, picked up the quiet hum of contentment that now filled the savanna. The land was at peace, and so were its creatures. As Elephant grew older, his legacy only expanded. His wisdom and leadership were passed down through the generations, and soon, Even animals from distant lands came to seek his counsel. They had heard of the great listener of the land, whose ears could hear not just the sounds of the world, but the heart of nature itself. Elephant welcomed all who came to him, sharing his knowledge and teaching them the importance of balance, patience, and harmony. "The land speaks to us all," he would say. "We just need to learn how to listen." One evening, as the sun dipped low in the sky, the guardian of the heart returned to the savannah. The great serpent appeared before Elephant, its eyes glowing with ancient wisdom. "Listener of the land," the guardian said, "you have fulfilled your purpose. The balance has been restored, and the land thrives because of your wisdom." Elephant bowed his head. "It was a journey that we all shared," he replied humbly. "The balance of the land is something we must all protect." The guardian smiled. "You have done more than protect the land. You have ensured its future. The lessons you have taught will carry on for generations." As Elephant's time on the savannah grew shorter, he gathered the animals one last time for a final lesson. They sat quietly beneath the stars, waiting for Elephant to speak. His voice, though soft, carried the weight of many years of wisdom. "Remember, my friends," he said, "that the greatest strength lies in understanding and listening. The land will always speak to you if you are willing to hear it. And in listening, you will find your place in the balance of all things." The animals nodded, their hearts full of gratitude for all that Elephant had taught them. One morning, as the sun rose over the savannah, Elephant made his way to the great rift one last time. His large ears flapped gently in the cool breeze, and he listened to the earth beneath him, the wind in the trees and the water in the streams. The land was at peace, just as it had been before the storms. As he stood at the edge of the great rift, the guardian of the heart appeared once again. "Your time here is complete, listener of the land," the guardian said softly. "You have fulfilled your purpose. Now you may rest." Elephant bowed his head, grateful for the life he had lived and the lessons he had shared. "I am ready," he said quietly. "The balance will continue long after I am gone." The guardian smiled. "The land will remember you, Elephant. Your wisdom will be carried in the wind, in the water, in the earth, and in the fire." And with that, Elephant closed his eyes, his ears gently flapping one last time. The guardian of the heart coiled around him, and together they disappeared into the earth, leaving behind a legacy that would endure forever. Though the elephant had departed from the physical world, his presence remained in the savannah. The animals often spoke of the great listener of the land, and his teachings were passed down from generation to generation. When the wind rustled through the trees or the rivers flowed quietly under the sun, the animals could feel the elephant's spirit, guiding them, reminding them to listen, to care for the land, and to protect the balance they had worked so hard to restore. The younger animals, inspired by Elephant's legacy, took on the role of protectors of the balance. Lion's descendants continued to watch over the realm of fire, ensuring the flames burned safely. Giraffe's children kept the winds in harmony, guiding the air with grace. Rhino's kin maintained the strength of the earth, while the children of chimpanzee and tortoise worked to keep the waters pure and flowing. And in each of them, the wisdom of Elephant lived on, a guiding force that would never fade. The savannah thrived in the years that followed. The animals lived in harmony, respecting the elements and each other. They understood the balance of the land and worked together to maintain it. The seasons came and went, but the peace remained. Whenever a challenge arose, the animals would think of Elephant's teachings and remember that listening, truly listening, was the key to understanding the world around them. As the years passed, one animal took it upon themselves to become the keeper of stories. It was an old baboon, wise and weathered, who had known Elephant in his youth. He sat by the great rift and told the tale of the listener of the land to anyone who would listen. The young ones gathered around, their eyes wide with wonder as the baboon recounted the adventures of Elephant and his companions. "Remember," he would say, "the land will always speak to you, if only you take the time to hear it." In honor of Elephant and the restoration of the elements, the animals began to hold an annual celebration called the Festival of Balance. Every year, under the full moon, they gathered by the Great Rift to celebrate the harmony they had achieved. There were songs, dances, and stories shared beneath the stars. The young cubs would listen eagerly as the elders spoke of the great journey to the heart of the land, and how the balance was restored by their brave ancestors. And every year they left offerings by the great rift, honoring the spirit of Elephant, the listener of the land. Though Elephant was no longer with them in body, his spirit lived on in the very fabric of the land. When the wind blew gently across the savanna, the animals could hear his wisdom in its whispers. When the rains fell, they could feel his strength in the water. The earth beneath their feet carried his steady presence, and the fires of the sun reminded them of his courage. Elephant had become part of the land itself, woven into its elements, forever watching over his home. One day, a young elephant calf named Moyo wandered near the great rift. Moyo was curious, always listening to the sounds of the savanna, just as his ancestor Elephant had once done. As he stood by the edge of the rift, he felt a gentle breeze brush past his ears, carrying with it a soft, familiar hum. It was as if the land itself was speaking to him, just as it had spoken to Elephant long ago. Moyo smiled, his large ears flapping gently. "I hear you," he whispered, and in that moment he knew that he would carry on the legacy of listening. As Moyo grew, he became known as the next listener of the land. His ears, though still young and small, were sharp and attuned to the subtle sounds of the world around him. He listened carefully to the wind, the water, the earth, and the fire, always mindful of the balance that had been restored long ago. The animals respected Moyo, knowing that he carried the same wisdom and patience that his ancestor had possessed. And Moyo, in turn, taught the younger animals to listen, just as Elephant had taught before him. Years passed, and the balance of the land remained strong. Moyo, now older and wiser, took his place as the leader of the savanna, just as Elephant had once done. He led with kindness, patience, and a deep understanding of the world around him. The heart of the land continued to beat beneath the savanna, its rhythm steady and true. The elements were in harmony, and the animals lived in peace, knowing that the legacy of Elephant would always protect them. And so the story of the listener of the land became a tale that would be told for generations. It was a story of courage, wisdom, and the power of listening. A story that reminded all who heard it that the balance of the world was something to be cherished and protected. And though Elephant had long since passed into the spirit of the land, his legacy lived on in every breeze, every drop of water, every spark of fire, and every grain of earth. The animals of the savanna knew that as long as they listened, truly listened, they would always find their way. And thus, the story of the elephant with the big ears, the great listener of the land, would never truly end. Thank you so much for watching Bedtime Folktale. I hope you enjoyed this story and feel a little more relaxed and ready for sweet dreams. If you want more enchanting tales, be sure to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss another magical folktale. See you in the next story.